my love for that is a neat sipper. Doesn't really translate to cocktails. Hello rum fans, welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at the other 5-year-old rum coming out of Barbados. Today is the Plantation Barbados 5-year-old rum. Now, openly and honestly, I am a little bit of a Plantation fanboy. I love what they are about, what they bring to the rum world. I understand it divides the sort of the rum, proper rum community. I understand that, I get that. I'm talking to the mass market now. I know I am. I think Plantation, with their open and honesty about their rums, and yes, Foursquare are open and honest that we don't, dosage our rums, we don't do all this, we don't do that. But, Plantation have got everything, every bit of information you could ever want about their rums out there. And I think for accessibility, I think they are a great brand for bringing new rum, for bringing people into rum world. I just do. The rums work for a lot of people. I dare say that's because they do add a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of sugar to them. I dare say it's that, but it's just where my palate sits. Now, another thing I just want to clarify as well, I am being open and honest here. I'm tasting these first. It's been a long while since I've had this neat, and I don't know. I might prefer the real McCoy over this. I genuinely don't know. It's been there. This has been purely for me because, if I'm being honest, if I do go for a neat sipping run for Barbados, it is the XO, what I've predominantly gone for. So I don't actually know how this is going to stack up against this, how my palate has changed over the last few months, year or so. It's been a long time since I've had this neat. We shall find out. We shall dive in. And I realised there's another branded distillery that I haven't mentioned that I think a few people, by the time these videos come out, I'm filming this in a whole chunk, might kind of think, well, hang on a minute, what about St Nicholas Abbey? Now, full disclosure, I love St Nicholas Abbey. The only time I have them are at rum fests and the rum show in London. I always taste the rums. I really like their rums. They have some really good rums. What I don't like is the prices. I have my ceiling on my rum, on my channel, for a purpose. I keep saying £50, $60 US, 60 euros. With inflation, with the way the economy is at the moment, we do have to go a little bit above that. But even then, St Nicholas Abbey just do not fit in that category. They are very, very expensive. As I say, I have my ceiling for a purpose because I do not believe you need to pay a fortune for really good rum. It's just how I'm built, and predominantly because I am cocktails. Yes, I do. Of course I love neat sipping rum. In fact, for me, I probably drink more rum neat than I do actually in cocktails, but I am a cocktail bartender at heart. So I always come from that view. Now, I understand people with a lot of disposable income. I've had a lot of comments, and I've muted quite a few people now that just come on and go, I don't understand why you have this limit and all that. It's because I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the mass market. And I'm sorry, but when I'm looking, I've got it on screen here. I say, well, I'll have to scroll. No, it's right on screen. I've got it there. When you're looking at St Nicholas Abbey for their standard 3-year-old white rum, it's £60. And let's go up to, and bearing in mind, this will be fresh off the thing, when we're going £135 for a 5-year-old rum, you can understand why I'm not featuring. £135 for a 5-year-old rum. It's pretty decent, but it ain't £80 more expensive than the real McCoy. I don't know what dream world anyone's living in, but it's definitely not worth £80 more than that. Okay, and just to go up, that is the 5-year-old, that's the cask strength, that's the 60% of ABV. Let me scroll down, here we go, £98 for the standard 40%. So it was 100 and whatever it was, I just said a minute ago, against that, and then £98 against what, 40? So you're saying £45 more expensive. In no world is that insane. It's just an insane price. So yes, I would love to feature St Nicholas Abbey. to sort your prices out is that simple. It's that simple because we cannot classify them in this. It's just not mass market. It is for the 5%, and the 5% are not what I'm talking to. I'm talking to mass market. Anyway, while we're on the subject of prices, let's bring it back to this this rum, the Plantation, the Barbados 5-year-old. It's a blend of pot and column still, WIRD. As I say, is Plantation Mason Ferrand owned WIRD, so we can effectively call this a distillery brand. The Cockspur does come out of the same distillery, but it is not a distillery brand. You know, it is a separately owned business. So let's go for that and let's talk about prices. We're sort of in between. We are more expensive than the Doorlys 5-year-old, but cheaper than the real McCoy 5-year-old. All right, so we're sort of in between there. So £32 Master of Malt prices. This is a bottle. Do you know what? I'm going to put this as a paid promotion because shout out to Identity who imports this in the Nick from Art and Jay. You know, this is gifted to me. So this bottle. So I'm going to put this as paid promotion, open and honestly. There, I've got a great working relationship with Plantation, but you know, I'm never going to let that affect. I never give rum, again, I'm going to say this over and over again. I never give rum scores. I try and guide you by my palate. So you can understand, if you know your palate, you can kind of go off there. I never want to put anyone off a rum. That's my whole present. Other rum reviewers will go, oh, this is rubbish rum and put people off. I'm not. I'm just trying to guide you by my palate. If you understand my palate, you know your palate, then you might think, oh, I will like that. For a lot of you, that's going to be right up your street. For a lot of you, this will be right up your street. You know, that's kind of what I'm here for. But anyway, let's dive into the prices. So £32 Master of Malt, which translates to rounded up $39 US, rounded up 37 euros, rounded up 61 Australian. That always gets me. Australian dollars. It's just like, it's like double. So anyway, 61 Australian dollars, 53 Canadian dollars. So to give you the rough ballpark, I'm just going to do US dollars here. US dollars, the Doorlys is slightly cheaper by $1.50, isn't it? Yeah, $1.50. So, and then, but it's, you know, we're talking a dollar, maybe two, maybe rounded up $2 cheaper than the real McCoy. So we're firmly in that price bracket. We're firm, and I dare say you'll get this cheaper around the world. So that's where the price is. What about the aroma? Now, this is why this rum probably outsells, and I don't know sales volumes. I can only guess. I can only see from trade of what's in front of me. I can only assume, at a rough guess, I would say that outsells that by bare minimum 5-1, bare minimum. I would probably go a lot higher. I'd probably go 10-1. That's what that outsells. Probably worldwide market. And yes, it will be because it's sweeter, but yes, that is where the vast majority of mass market palate is. But what that sweetness does, and this is not Diplomatico sweet, this is not anything close to being an ultra sweet rum. You know, it is not. Don't even think that. But what that little bit of dosage does is bring out flavours. We've got vanilla there, obviously, but then we get the coconut. We get a little bit of pineapple. We actually get a tiny, tiny little bit of banana. The longer it sits there, orange zest, orange peel, honey, I get off that. It just is a quick smell. And yes, I emphasise the point. I know it's the sugar that's doing that. A little bit of dosage, not drastic, but a little bit. I know it's bringing that out, but that's what appeals to people. And you get all these other, this makes me sound like I'm a plantation, like it's a loving, and I'm saying all it. I'm not. I just understand mass market. I understand where you're going for, and I understand the difference between, you know, Plantation might be going mass market and Doorlys Foursquare will be going for the rum connoisseurs. I get it. I get they're going for two entirely different groups of people. I totally get it. But this just smells. I guarantee it, if I do rum tastings and give people this and the Doorlys, I know which one people are just going to smell and think, oh, I'm drinking that. I get it. because this just smells way more inviting than what the Doorlys 5-year-old does. And that is what you have to understand for mass market palate. But to bring this round to the 5%, the rum connoisseurs, those that really crave higher aging, there is nothing on here that would resonate with you, because this does, I wouldn't pick this as a 5-year-old rum, probably because of the sweetness. I don't get that barrel age. Those of you that come from whiskey world, you know, probably not a rum for you. You want that hands down. Probably, if you're coming from whiskey world, hands down, probably more the Doorlys 5-year-old. Probably not even the real McCoy. You're probably going Doorlys if you come from whiskey world. Now, it's this very clever thing with this rum, because I do think it punches higher in ABV than what it actually is. It's a 40%er. Yes, there's the sugar there. I'm going to be controversial here. I'm going to put it on the line. I don't think that tastes any sweeter than what the real McCoys do. The real McCoys, they are undosed, but taste sweeter than what the Doorlys 5-year-old does. But I would put those on par of sweetness levels, and that might be my untrained palate compared to out and out rum connoisseurs. That might just be that. And people, the rum connoisseurs go, of course it is, of course it is. But this has got much more orange. The orange is kind of biting me. I've really not noticed that before, or I haven't remembered it if I've said it. But I'm kind of getting this orangey thing around my lips. Reminds me of their Pierre Ferrand dry orange curacao. That's what I'm kind of getting around my lips there. I've got tropical fruit coming out. I've got a little bit of vanilla, but not a huge amount. Nothing remotely close to that. A little bit of barrel aging, but again, nothing remotely close to those. And it's that one simple trick of what dosage does, and it just brings out fruit. Fruit for days. Tropical fruit, pineapple, coconut. It is all there. And that's what makes this a great sipping experience for the vast majority of people. I mean, there is barrel notes, there is a little bit of woodiness to it, a little bit of vanilla, a tiny little bit of that burnt toffee, but it all pales into significance compared to that fruit, that tropical fruit up front. So look, before I even dive into the rum punch, I can easily sum this rum up, easily. If you're early stages of your rum journey, if you haven't gone down into the realms of paying 60, 80, 100 pounds for a bottle of rum, this is right on your wavelength. This is a fantastic, proper rum. There is nothing illegal against adding dosage to your rum, despite what other certain fractions would have, you know, would have you think. The legal limit in the British Isles is 20 grams, and this is firmly under that 20 grams limit. This is just a banging rum. This is going to convert the vast majority of people from, you know, it's not even remotely close to being spiced rum sweetness. This is just a fantastic, fantastic rum. And the thing is, I know the Plantation XO is even better. And that's why I kind of love it, because I don't need, this is the thing, right? I don't need sugar added to this for rum fashion. I'm just drinking this neat. I would need a touch of sugar added to these for a great rum fashion. Not a lot, but just a tiny bit. This is just a simple, low faff, low maintenance kind of, I'm pouring this in a glass. Apricot. It's like apricot just jumped out at me now. And as I say, I know that makes me sound biased. I know, I get it. No one's paying me to say that. I just understand the market. And that is all it is. I understand the 95%, more like the 98%. I understand where that market is. And that for me is firmly, possibly, one of the best rums on that market if you're going for a neat sipping rum. At £32 UK, 30, I know you're paying a lot less than 38 or 30, 39 rounded up, $39 in the US. I know you're paying a hell of a lot less than that. And 37 euros, I know full well you're paying a lot less than that. That for me is firmly bang on the money. We're going to dive into the rum punch test now. I'll be honest, I'm expecting that one to perform better. They're still in the fridge, but I'm expecting that to perform better in there, purely because of the ratios. But for neat sipping, my heart is there. So summing up with the rum punch, the others I've just got back out of the fridge. So the ice didn't melt, essentially. They've been in there probably half an hour, 45 minutes or so. 45 minutes closer. Look, and this has been as neutral as I can possibly be. And taking rums through to the next round. My love for that as a neat sipper doesn't really translate to cocktails, because I do kind of think it loses it a little bit because of that sweetness that it's got for cocktails. But neat sipping, bang on the money. I've done it, I alternate when it comes to mixers, rum and cokes, rum and ginger beers. I do alternate between, you know, sometimes I might like that, sometimes I might like that. I think that's got more body to it. More when you're doing cocktail work, I think that, I don't want to use the word grunt. I'm going to use it, the word grunt. That's got more grunt, more kind of oomph, more kind of body for what you want when you're doing cocktails. When you've got a lot of other flavors in the mix, this will just get lost when it comes to cocktails. Neat sipping, there is just, it is unrivaled in there for me. Absolutely unrivaled. And I would have it as a neat sipper. You know, it's instantly replacing all of those as a neat sipper. But when it comes to the cocktails and when it comes to an all-rounder, while I do love the real McCoys, I do think are great. I really do. Because if that, I would have before, I think I said, I've forgotten now, it was about an hour ago, but I've forgotten, 45 minutes. I think I picked the 40% of real McCoy as kind of the rum that I would have, bearing in mind I was going neat sipping as well. I think what I would actually surmise now, as much as I love those two, I think from my angle for what I want, which is a neat sipping rum, I want one all-rounder, but I don't think that will happen until maybe as we go further down, we get the XOs coming out and then we get onto the 10s and the 12s and all that. It may change, but I think at the moment, I think what I have to take through, I have to take that as a neat sipper and that is a cocktail. Because I just, and again, I've said unrefined, and I don't mean unrefined. I just think the oomph that brings to cocktails in its rawness, unrefined. I'm just going to say unrefined. I don't mean unrefined. I can't think of another word to kind of explain it. I just think what that brings to cocktails, that doesn't. But that what that brings to neat sipping, that doesn't. And yes, you could add a touch of sugar to that, but even adding a touch of sugar to that, which I've done time and time again, you don't get the tropical fruitiness of that. This has just got mass market appeal written all over it. And for the vast majority of you, you are going to have that as a rum and coke, a rum and ginger ale, and not think twice about it. Cocktail rum, you are generally not going to think twice. But when you go down your cocktail journey a little bit deeper and you understand what, and you crave a little bit of extra body for your rum, then that probably won't cut it. You need to go for something like that because that isn't dosed. That brings a lot more body to a rum. I don't expect that to be there in 4 or 5 videos time. I really don't. And if I'm being brutally honest, if I went down, as soon as I go down the St. Lucian route, for instance, I've done Jamaica, would that replace any Jamaican rums? They're very different profiles, but would I have that as opposed to a Jamaican rum for a cocktail that wanted an aged rum? I'm not sure I would. when I go down St. Lucia, and there's not much, it's going to be a short St. Lucian route, but I know full well that some of those St. Lucian rums bring more to the party than what that does. I think it's just me. I still, apart from a few exceptions, do not have much love for Barbados rum. I'm hoping that's going to change. They're good rums. They are really good rums. They're just not rums that suit my palate, if that likes. But I think the two that I have to take through for polar opposite reasons to the next few videos is that for neat sipping and that for mixing more cocktails than anything. That's the only way I can sum that up.